Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Second panel. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Pet. I run Sporting Crypto, and I'm joined today by the fantastic Max Wolfe from McLaren Racing. So why don't you tell the audience a bit what you do at McLaren?
Sure. Hello, everyone. Lovely to be here today. Lovely to see so many familiar faces. My name is Max Wolfe. Like Pat said, I am at McLaren Racing. I've been with the business for about 4 years now. My role there is to lead the Web3 team. And so essentially what that means is we look to work with our partners in the Web3 industry, look at how we can use distributed ledger technologies to improve, business functions, how we can add performance to the race team, and also how we can use these technologies to improve and iterate the fan experience. We're always trying to compete amongst the other teams to not only acquire and retain fans, but make being a fan of McLaren the best experience on the grid. And so our job is to look at how we can use Web3 technologies to accomplish that.
And you've been doing this for quite a while and had some awesome success. Why don't you give people an overview of what you've done so far at McLaren as it pertains to blockchain, and just give a high level overview of what exactly you've done?
Yeah, absolutely. It's been a long journey. 4 years in crypto. 4 years, it feels more like 40. We've gone through a couple of cycles, and honestly, it's been really fun to see the space change and mature over that time. When we started, it was 2021, so super frothy scene. Some might say we were in a bit of a bubble, and a lot of the remit was just to try and make revenue off of selling NFTs and digital collectibles. We came out with an NFT project back in 2021, and we also at that time started a Discord server. Since then, man, we've experimented with just so many different things, but basically we've always stayed true to three core tenets, which is when we create programs that are fan-facing using Web3 technologies, we always want to make sure that we're considering the needs of the fan, the needs of McLaren, and the needs of our partners that we're working with to deliver these. And I think that's the real key in building a sustainable Web3 project. And I've seen a lot of Web3 projects come and go over the last 4 years, especially within sport, and we're still here. And I think we're still here because we always keep those three tenets in mind, and we try to deliver performance for those three key stakeholder groups. So yeah, since 2021, we have been really proud to do a lot of firsts in sport. We were the first ones to put NFTs on our cars. We did that in Singapore 2022. We experimented with I hate the word, but phygital releases. If anyone knows of a better word than phygital, please tell me. I've been asking this at conferences for years. And we've experimented a lot with proof of engagement releases. So back in 2023, had some amazing success with our L1 partner at the time, Tezos, where we recruited, I think it was around 650,000 wallets onto that chain in 1 year, and saw 2.8 million collectibles claimed. That was the largest Freedom in Sports NFT project at the time. So yeah, I think the success we've found is in this way to get fans into the top of the funnel through sort of proof of engagement, free to claim based collectibles. And, I think the next step is looking at how you bring people further down, but we can move on to that. I guess the last major point of success I would highlight is honestly just in building community. I'm super, super proud of the Web3 community that we've built within our fan base at McLaren. My colleague, Dan Kingston, is here. He manages our Discord server. He's the best in the business. No one try to poach him, please. I will fight you. I'm not joking. So when we started, we had, I think, 10,000 people on the server. We're at 114,000 now. It was the largest in-house managed sports server by any property that we're aware of. And, it's the home of our Web3 community, but it's also the home of a really unique demographic within our fan group. The sort of pre-Drive to Survive, the stereotype for the F1 fan was pale, stale, and male. And now,
You just try and describe me on stage.
no offense meant, pet. we still value that fan, but in our Discord server, it's majority under 27. It's majority female, which is super unique amongst F1 socials, and it's more tech savvy, more engaged, and with a higher spend than any other social channel we have. And that was all born out of initially an experiment from the Web3 program. And we see this a lot of really powerful cross-discovery. You look at these super fans, they're on our Discord server every day. They're crocheting Lando Norris dolls. They're, painting Oscar Piastri on their bedroom wall. And then they're also saying stuff like, hey, I just opened my first crypto wallet and I just got my first NFT. And that's really powerful and something we're super proud of, and definitely a success I wanted to highlight.
And when you build that sticky community and have some of the success that you outlined, I suppose it starts to become a bit more real and important internally. So talk to me about how you might have had this shift internally from experimental thing to business line, right? There's two of you working full time within that intersection.
So this goes back a lot to, I think, what Mark and Tarek were talking about, in that there's a lot of internal education you have to do, and a lot of sort of metrics that you have to develop in order to start valuing this fan group and this sort of audience. And it's not easy. At the beginning of Web3, sort of identifiable data was almost the antithesis of, what one of the tenets of Web3. People wanted anonymity, they wanted ownership of their own data, whereas we're coming in and saying, actually, we need to know how much you spend, we need to know what your lifetime value is as a fan, we kind of need to know what you're up to in order to value you, in order to make a business case to invest in the services to offer you. So it's almost like a weird catch-22, but we're making progress in that way. And I think people, there's a value exchange. They're more willing to give us their data, tell us a bit about themselves in exchange for the unique experiences and the things that we're giving them. And so over the past few years, as we've started to get that data, we're able to come through with metrics on our Discord server, we're starting to get close to what I think is an accurate CPM figure, and it blows all of our other social channels out of the water. We're starting to make the shift internally. Traditionally, our social channels have been measured by impressions, essentially, and reach. And Discord is never going to compete in terms of impressions and reach with Instagram, right? We have 16 million Instagram followers, I think, and 114,000 people in our Discord server. But we generate about the same amount of engagement out of 114,000 people as Instagram does out of 16 million. And I bet you that there's way more real people in that 116,000 people generating engagement than it is, than the engagements from our Instagram. And so we're starting to get sophisticated enough, and we're starting to get enough internal understanding where we're judged on those sort of metrics that more accurately, I think, value what we're bringing to the table. But it just takes time and it takes learning, because, we're all doing this for the first time, really.
Took the word out of my mouth in terms of the next questions I was going to use. Biggest learnings for you on this kind of journey so far? I mean, Mark mentioned some of the failures they've had and learned from them. I'd love to hear from you as well.
So this is being recorded, but honestly, one of the biggest learnings is just break rules. If you're not breaking rules, I think you can't really be innovating. So don't worry too much. Keep the minimum amount of stakeholders you need to get things done informed, and then otherwise just kind of do what you got to do. And because people won't understand it in the moment, but when you show them what you've done, then they'll get it. I think another thing too is exactly what Mark said. Keep it simple. We've fallen into this trap so many times where it's like, oh, we're going to add this element of gamification and there's going to be so many prizes for people to win. And there's going to be, you can go to all these different touch points and there's going to be so many different layers to the artwork and the fan engagement mechanisms. And I think it's very easy as marketers and IP owners to fall into this trap of more is more, and more makes, it's going to be more attractive to fans. But the reality is we're all competing for attention. And it's so difficult to do that you need to be able to get your program across like that. And so keeping it simple rather than trying to bake in as much as you can, I think it helps you be a lot more competitive with, as Mark said, we're all, we're competing for attention. So we're competing with Netflix and other properties like that. And so, the simpler you are, the better it is. Other learnings, importance of community. These people are going to be your evangelists. And so sort of market to those first, and don't underestimate the power of like organic growth and like word of mouth in the fandom. I think there's a lot of temptation, again, just to go for like pure impressions, pure reach. But I think you find more ROI if instead of going for pure reach, you target those people who are going to evangelize your product. So go for the people who are your super fans. Go for your people who are natively into Web3 and are looking for like a cool IP or property that's adopting the technology, because that's where you really find that's where you can really find some explosive growth, I think.
And what's coming in 2026 for you folks? What's next?
Amazing things, Pet. So 2026, look, I think we're looking to double down on some of the successes that we've seen in our past programs like 23 of 23 and Race Rewind. Essentially looking at using proof of engagement, free to claim collectibles to bring people into the first stage of the funnel. And then looking at how do we then bring people one step further down. So, okay, they've claimed a collectible, they've opened a wallet, that's their gateway into Web3. How do we get them then trading peer-to-peer? How do we get them funding a wallet? How do we get them engaging with, other ecosystem, decentralized applications? So we're going to try and debut some more advanced, more interesting types of fan engagement programs, things that blend physical merchandise as well, looking to, capitalize on some like existing trends in the market that we're seeing around tokenization of like physical collectibles. I'm obviously dancing around the question a little bit because I don't want to give anything away, but yeah, if you read between the lines, I think you can figure it out. And the other thing too is just like looking at blending more seamlessly the Web3 touch points we have with community. So I've harping on about Discord a lot, right? But you need like one of the strongest motivators for fans is the idea that they want to show off and express their fandom. Like Tarek said, he's never missed an F1 race in 7 years. Like he wants a way to flaunt that. He wants a way to show I'm putting the words in his mouth, but I'm assuming he wants the way to show other F1 fans like what a dedicated fan he is. And that's a super strong motivator within fandom. You want to be able to show off, express yourself. And I think there's not yet a very seamless way for people to take what they do in like sports Web3 fandom programs and share that, show it off amongst other fans. So I think looking at how can we remove that friction and make it easier for people to share what they've done, show off what they're collecting, show off how they're interacting with their favorite sports IP. That's really something we want to focus heavily on. And I think you're going to see big results from the team who gets that right.
Last question from me. Obviously, F1's super hot right now, and McLaren too.
Thank you.
You must be inundated with requests, pitches, etc. I wanted to ask you, what makes a really compelling pitch when you're speaking to vendors, ecosystems in this space? Obviously, there's the commercial angle as well, but aside from that, what impresses you, and what are maybe some of the tips you would give if people are trying to engage with you?
First and biggest tip is just do your homework. I can't tell you how many times I've been pitched like blockchain ticketing solutions
For Ferrari.
right for Williams. But Formula One is different from other sports. We don't have any owned location. No team owns their own circuit. Formula One teams don't sell tickets. Race promoters sell tickets. Circuits sell tickets, and that's pretty easy to find out by Googling. So yeah, just like do your homework and notice that, or know that every sport is different, and the rights that sports properties have will be different by the sport that they operate in. And so, knowing what products will be appropriate for the person you pitch to based on what rights and what properties they have, that's the biggest thing for me. Also, looking like when someone comes to me with knowledge of what we've done previously in Web3, that also really impresses me. Yeah, I've had a lot of pitches where people tell us all things that we have, like that we could do, but we've already done it. And yeah, also just again, like, don't be afraid to be crazy. I love crazy ideas. I love things that, we've never thought, like hearing about things that we've never considered before, never thought of before. That's the sort of stuff that excites me the most. So yeah, do your research and go wild.
Cool. Has anyone in the audience got any questions? Oh wow, that went up quick. I'm gonna have to jog over. I was hoping no one would ask a question so I didn't have to get up.
It's good exercise for you, Pet.
Thanks, Pet. Hi, Max. I'm Ross, CEO of Fan3. We work mainly in music, but really interested to understand from an IP and rights perspective in Formula One, when you're building these communities, how you balance McLaren Racing versus the rights and IP that you can use for your drivers. You've obviously got some very powerful IP there, particularly you talk about women making Lando dolls in the Discord server, two potential, there's going to be one world champion, we hope. How do you use their audience to grow your community, and what can and can't you do?
So there are basically, there's basically just IP delineations between what a driver owns and what the team owns. So basically, whenever a driver is representing McLaren Racing at a racetrack, like as in their capacity as a driver, that sort of falls under IP that we own. Obviously, we are more focused on building the McLaren Racing brand than the driver brand. So we sort of approach things from that lens. Like, we're building a McLaren Racing server, not a Lando and Oscar server, but so much of the content of what we post and what people demand is around the drivers. They want to get to know them better, and so within the rights that we have, we give people access. Like we post photos of their arrival to track, and people like to rate their outfits on our server, for example, or we do Q&A sessions with the drivers sometimes on the server. So yeah, I guess it's just we do what we can within the rights that we have. But obviously, yeah, focused primarily on McLaren Racing.
Any others?
Yeah. Will from Live Duel Sports Prediction Market. So you kind of mentioned that you've used Tezos previously, and I think you've used Ethereum as well for some NFT specific things and minima for some game data. So how do you kind of view interoperability and I guess the evolving nature of different chains? And is it one and done, or what are you guys thinking?
I think interoperability is really, really important. It's central to, I think, what Mark was talking earlier about, like a fan owning their own identity and then being able to, take it across different properties, and like the sports team being able to sort of like leverage that data. I don't think we're quite there yet, but I do see a world where sports and like their partners are sort of multi-chain. For us, let's be perfectly honest. We are so as McLaren, as the commercial function, our job is to fund the race team. Our job is to make sure that our Formula One team can operate at the maximum cap of the budget, so that they can afford the best people and the best equipment to go out and win championships. And so Web3 for us, yes, it's an exciting technology. It's something we are passionate, we believe in. We look at it from the fan innovation standpoint. It's also a commercial opportunity for us. And so we do try to enter into partnerships with infrastructure providers, with exchanges, for example, in our partnership with OKX. And so I think there always will be, for us, some level of exclusivity with partners, because that's what makes commercial sense for us. But my hope is that, the level of interoperability that we see in the industry advances to a point where, just having a commercial partner doesn't limit what you're able to do sort of overall, if that makes sense.
Last one.
Thank you. Yeah, you touched on it a little bit there, but I was just interested in how you guys assess the pipeline from Web3 engagement to revenue. Is it mostly from a partnership, sponsorship value perspective, or are there workflows, pipelines that get you from Web3 engagement to increased customer spend that you guys are tracking? Like, how do you measure that success?
With great difficulty is the short answer. We're still trying to figure it out. There are things, exactly like you said, like merch spend that we're looking at trying to attribute. We also get a lot of information around consumer habits, things like gaming, music consumption. So looking at ways that we can try and value that. There are things like loyalty, that's a big one. So are people coming into our Web3 funnels more likely to join our loyalty program? How does that impact their lifetime value as a customer? So I don't have a good answer to you on how we're doing it, because we're still trying to figure it out. But these are the kinds of data points that we're looking to package into that calculation.
Cool. We're going to wrap up. Thank you very much, Max. Round of applause.
Thank you.